Okay.
Guys, one more time for my man, Mr. Mike Walter. Oh,
Right there, Mike.
best.
Your wife's right there.
Well, coming your way,
Come on.
it is you know what? My goal in life right now is to make sure that the future of this business is in good hands. And the two folks that I'm going to be introducing you to right now, our future is in very, very, very good hands with these two wonderful folks. Would you please welcome two amazing folks, Mr. Chris Washburn and Tori V!
Oh! Thank you, big guy. I love you, man. Love you. Is this you? Is this you? This one? That's you. You want this one or that one? First. Kick its ass. Kick its ass. Kick its ass.
All right, all right, all right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Washburn. Oh, right.
It was a sunny, beautiful springtime day in the desert of Las Vegas. I was invited to be a featured player at a poker show that was doing a rebranding and relaunch. And instead of doing the typical hosting at a casino or at a studio, they decided they wanted to rent out a Vegas mansion, set up shop there, and run the show from that. So I get in my Uber from the hotel, head on over to this mansion, go through security, get checked in, talk to the producers, talk to the staff, and I talk to the players. One of the players, MJ is his name, goes to me and says, hey, at some point during today's show, we're gonna bring in a special guest. This kid's name is Cody. He might play my chips for a little bit, and it's gonna be a great time. I'm like, okay, Cody. So I get to meet Cody eventually before the show starts, and his family. He's there with his parents, his brother, actually, I mean not his brother, his friends, and I get to know a little bit about him, which I'll share in a second. So we play for about an hour, and at that point during the show, this is a live stream, by the way, it's live, MJ goes, okay, it's time for Cody to take my place. Cody's gonna come in and play my chips. And by the way, we're playing pretty high stakes. I think we each had like $20,000 real money in front of us, so it's nothing to bark about. Cody is a terminally ill Make-A-Wish kid. Mid-20s. Had a severe accident when he was younger, had some malpractice. Tomorrow, today, could be his last. However, he was he's still with us, is a huge poker fan. Was a huge fan of mine, was a huge fan of some of the players on this show, and one of the things he wanted to do in life was play poker on TV, play at a really high stakes, and be among some of the greats of the game. He knew this connection, he got this connection through a mutual friend of MJ's that saw him playing at a different tournament, heard his story, and said, hey, you're gonna be in Vegas this time, why don't you come by the studio, check this out. He plays for about a round with MJ's chips, does pretty well. He wins every significant hand he's in. I think it won like $7,000 or something. And at the time it's his last hand, this is what happens.
Cody getting emotional here. This is a very big game for him. He's got the...
Give him a hug.
Everybody. Hug time. Hug time.
It's on me. 700 when you get in.
Cody really overwhelmed by the gravity of the moment.
Absolute pleasure.
All right, give it up for Cody, everybody.
Cody gets to celebrate with his beautiful mom, Leslie.
You want us to like
It's a very emotional moment.
You're the best mom. 16, 18.
Leslie and Cody were talking about spending months and months in the hospital during the pandemic time when he was undergoing lots of surgeries. So, very special moment for their family.
I love you.
I love you, Mom. You're the best. And as you said, he spent about a third of his life beyond 10 years old in a hospital. If you saw in that clip, when he started breaking down because he was in a moment of surrealness, something he never thought would happen. By the way, he's a Make-A-Wish kid, I said. In 2015, he got the opportunity to go meet the president in the Oval Office. Obama was the president at the time. Pretty neat. And he tells me that this moment had more of an impact and connection with him than that. I mean, not just because of me, because of the overall moment. It's pretty special. During that clip, when he started breaking down, I was the only person that went and hugged him. And you heard the commentator or the host in the room say something like, hey, give him a hug. For whatever reason, I don't know if the other guys, because it's an egotistical, manly thing, we're not going to be vulnerable, we're not going to cry, show emotions, they didn't react. But it connected with me, and I just met this guy that day. But I understood the value of love, human connection, the power we have to impact others, to inspire. What meant as, okay, just another poker game to me, meant the world to this kid who knows his days are numbered. That connection that we shared, his actions of the vulnerability, of the opening up, and not being afraid to show his emotions and let his feelings come out, was something that connected him and I, because I understood that, I got that. The second he started breaking down, I was starting to get teary. And you saw that. It's the only time I've ever cried at a poker table before, and I've lost a hell of a lot of money, and that never made me cry before, but that did. The point of all this is that connection that him and I had is because we had the shared values. We both, like I said, understood the impact that we have on each other, the ability to love, take care, and inspire, and connect. To this day, him and I are still friends, and we actually went on to play a few weeks later at another big poker show, Hustler Casino Live, the biggest one in the world. And we also did a meetup fundraiser game for him where we raised a ton of money for that. I DJ'd it. And again, today, I just talked to him this morning. A very special kid, but the connection is the important part here. The human connection, that bond that him and I shared in that moment that made me feel attracted to him, that made me want to go hug him, made me want to become his friend after, because I knew the power I guess I had to help inspire and just be a supportive person for him. That connection can translate into your friendships, your relationships, your business, your sales call, and that's what we're going to talk about here today, the human connection. No, we're not always going to be terminally ill and talking about having a disease that we're about to die from. But like I said, that connection, being able to connect, more connection equals more attraction. And I don't mean physically or sexually, but attraction, like I want to talk to you. I'm attracted to you. I want to be around your aura, your energy. More attraction is probably going to lead to more action, more taking action. And in sales, more action usually means more success. And overall today, more connection, it's going to bring you more gratitude, more love, more joy. Humans, we are wired. Everything we do besides the necessities to physically live is for love and belonging. We want to connect. Everything we do is for love and to feel belonged.
It's literally in your lizard brain to want and crave belonging, because back in the caveman days, no belonging equals death. So that innate need that you have doesn't make you weak, it makes you human.
Goals for today. Yes, we're here for business. We're going to talk about sales and relate everything back to how the goal for optimal sales is not about selling. It's about connecting. It's about giving. What we're going to talk about here. What did you find exactly? Did you find that okay? Thank you, Big Daddy.
Gotta love Siri.
We're going to discuss how to connect with people in a more authentic, deeper, and meaningful way that leads to more joy, more gratitude, and more profits. There are a lot of ways you can talk about connection, but today we're going to focus on understanding people and conversational methods. And the great thing is, all of this stuff is not only applicable to your business and your sales calls, but more importantly, probably everything else in life, your closest relationships, your friendships.
When we're talking about profits, we're talking about fulfillment as well, because the more that you implement these things to strive for connection, the more likely you'll feel fulfilled in your sales, even your sales conversations, as well as your interpersonal and intrapersonal relationships.
And because branding was mentioned in the title of this topic, we are going to discuss the relationship between human connection and branding and how they go together. Takeaways for today, hopefully you understand the value of better human connection, that you are inspired to take action however it's best fits for you. Maybe you implement some of these ideas and find success. The great things, some of these easy takeaways that we're going to give you are things that you can practice the second you walk out that door. Tomorrow in that sales call. Later on when you go to dinner with your spouse. You realize that, as I just said, you realize all this can be applied not just to business, but most aspects of life. I know for me, when I've been to many, many seminars, and the ones that I always found the most satisfying, gratifying, successful, the ones that taught me lessons, not about business or what the reason I was there for, but about life and how to connect with people. Maybe you'll become more fun to talk to and more attractive to others. Not necessarily physically, maybe physically. We'll talk about that in a second as well.
But if that's what sells it, I mean, yeah, good connection makes you hotter, for sure, 100%. 100%.
Definitely.
Here's a disclaimer. We don't claim to have all of the correct answers. And, I mean, what works for us may not work for you, and that's okay. You have to find your spin, and it's important that you digest the information and make it yours anyway. And, of course, if you don't get the picture of something or whatever, we've actually designed slides specifically intended to be used with the QR code at the end. So we will be giving you all of the information that's on here.
Yep. Get all the slides, get all the links, everything that you need to go back and take a look at this. Or if you're not here live and you're watching this now on video, everything you need will be in the description.
So to talk a little bit about branding and to kind of play off of Stephanie's seminar yesterday, your brand is what others say about you, not what you say about yourself. You could claim that you're like the best and hottest spinning DJ and you pack dance floors and you're easy to talk to, but if nobody says that about you, that is probably not your brand and it's probably not true. Stephanie told a story about a situation where people were bashing her and she didn't even have to say anything to them because other people spoke on her behalf and knew who she was. So it's what those people said about her that defined her brand, not what she said about herself. Yeah. And it's who she was that helped define that. Yeah.
We love this quote, and I know Kaylee Wise has said it. I've heard it at multiple other seminars of branding experts and people. Yes, again, your brand is not what others say about you. It's what others say about you, not what you say about yourself. A lot of people think, well, I choose my logo, and I choose these colors, and I chose Arial 12 font, and I only use 2 different fonts, and that's my brand. No. These are words that are directly taken from all of our testimonials, our text messages, Facebook posts, all that Tori did a great job of compiling them, and she actually made a spreadsheet of the most that were used and repeated, and here they are. So the important thing about branding is that your brand is directly affected by your ability to connect with others, right? Because they're the ones that are going to make your brand and talk about you on your behalf. Your ability to connect with them is going to make them like you more, see that you have more value, be more attracted to you, and want to support you. So we're not going to sit here and talk about how your website landing page should have this picture on this exact dimension and have the x-axis over it. No. We're talking about the connection part and how that will directly affect your branding. Y'all with me so far? I misspoke. Y'all with us so far?
Rude.
Fantastic.
Men shadowing
Very
women.
rude.
I'm just kidding.
Very rude. And I caught myself.
Just kidding.
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes, you've seen this on probably a lot of the seminars that I have given. People may forget what you said or what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. The perfect quote, Maya Angelou, when we're talking about human connection. A couple of our mindset mantras that we use pretty much in everything we do in business and in life. We always want to be relational versus transactional, put people over paychecks. Like Stephanie said, be authentic. Be yourself, be yourself.
These are also things that we literally say in our meetings with our couples. The thing is, if you want to say and incorporate stuff like this in sort of part of your intro meetings, you have to mean it when you say it, and you have to be it when you say it. You can't just say, we're people over paychecks, but you're sitting there worried about nickel and diming somebody for something small.
So how can you improve your connection? Let's get into it. Thank you, Todd, for laughing. No, you're the oldest one here, so I'm just
The
kidding.
funny thing is, I actually told him to put that in there, so that's the irony.
Yep.
Everyone, don't, triggered.
Our main two topics, as I talked about, we're going to talk about personality science and psychology, and we're going to talk about conversational skills. Now, this is not going to be like high school where you're like, oh, great, now we're going to hear a science seminar and pitch to us. It's going to be a little different, as you'll see. First thing, the bank method. Talking about, Bill's nodding his head. Has anyone heard of this before? Quick show of hands. You've heard of it. Fantastic. I'm glad that none of you have. I've done a lot of research, attended a lot of seminars where they had different personality tests. There's a million of them out there. If you go Google personality test, you'll find a whole slew. When it comes to sales and connecting with people, this is by far the best one I've ever seen. BANK is an acronym. You can go to their website. Again, it'll be in that Google Drive with the QR code. You can go take a look more. If you can go to a seminar, you can attend one. I believe they were actually an exhibitor at one of the DJ shows in Vegas. It was either MEX or Wedding MBA. They were on the floor. MEX, they were there. Go look up for more information. Now, it's a 2-day show, so I can't sit here in the next 15 minutes and give you the full rundown, but I can certainly give you cliff notes and tidbits that you can walk out of this door today and implement, and it will automatically, immediately make you a better communicator and a better salesperson when you understand some of these basic things that I'm going to teach you. The way this works is the BANK. B stands for blueprint, A stands for action, N, nurturing, K, knowledge, the BANK. Now, every person has some sort of combination of these. Some are stronger and carry less weight for each person. So someone might be a BAKN, someone might be an NABK. The fact is it's like the love languages. Understanding how people want to be connected, how they want to be talked to, and being able to deliver in the way that best connects with them. This is huge in sales.
It's just as important to know who you're talking to as well as who you are in order to be able to communicate in those types of ways.
Yeah. I would say even more so, for sure. Going over, I'm going to go over each one and give you prime examples of what you could expect in real life examples as a mobile entertainer of what you will come about. The way, if you go to the actual seminar, there's a series of questions like most personality tests that asks you like this, how do you feel about this? And you fill them out and it gives you a rating. And from each category, it'll be like 0 to 25. So someone might score a 20 on blueprint, they might be a 23 on action, an 11 on nurturing, something like that. And that's how you know kind of where you are. They also offer these 4 physical cards, looks like a playing cards that you can hand to someone and say, hey, can you just look at these values, put them in order of what most resonates with you? Those values, that's the way to do it. You're probably not going to be able to do this, but I'm going to give you those examples and ways to pick up on these with these people in your sales calls so you have an idea of, oh, that person's more of an action person. Okay, I know what to say here, I know what to do. So let's get into these. Wait, if everyone just close your eyes real quick, because I want to explain, I appreciate your participation. I'm going to read the description and then I'm going to give you the value words, and I want you to think about who comes to mind. Blueprint. Values include stability, structure, duty, rules, and ethics. People in this personality group find value in organization and following the rules. Their moral beliefs are set in stone, and they prefer to stay around those who share those ethics. They work well with systems that are clear-cut, predictable, and have set and defined rules. They learn best through repetition and memorization. Some of the values that they hold most important to them: stability, structure, systems, planning, processes, predictability, responsibility, duty, rules, credentials, titles, traditions. You can open your eyes now. By the way, I took this about 8 years ago, and it was an absolute game changer for me. 3 biggest things that changed my life: this course, the ninja selling, which I'm going to talk about in a second, and Marbecca. So those are the top 3. For the bank method, the blueprint method, what I just said, and now it's not everybody is the same way with this. Not every accountant's going to be a blueprint first, but the majority, and often you will find that's very common, accountants, teachers, lawyers, managers, officers are the people that are going to be blueprint. Example for us, so let's go with the question of you're in a Zoom call or you're meeting with someone, a potential wedding client. I'm going to go with weddings here. Because right, how many wedding DJs do we have? Majority, fantastic, thank you. I'm going to ask the question of, what's your vision for your wedding? And if you've been to any weddings, can you let us know anything that you really liked or really didn't like. Pretty standard opening question that you'd ask someone, right? To kind of get the response. This is going to tell you a lot of information. If you ask that question, a typical blueprint answer might be something like, oh, you know, I was at my sister's wedding, and I love how the DJ really kept things on track. There was good organization and structure to the day, and they just really kept things moving online. The first thing that person said was talking about structure, organization. That will tell you right there, oh, this person values this, the blueprint. So what does this tell you then? Or also you can figure out things like, oh, when you ask them what they do, yeah, I'm a lawyer, I'm a teacher. The second you open up a Zoom call or see them walk in, you can tell by what they're wearing, what their Zoom background is, what room that they are sitting in during the Zoom. This all tells you what kind of people they are. So if you see a blueprint person or you hear, and by the way, they're not always just one, it's always a combination of all. And you can be very close with multiple, that's okay.
And remember too, usually in like an intro meeting, you're also talking to two people. So, and they may not be the same combination of bank,
Yeah.
which is a whole other thing to try and navigate and think about.
And that's next level. That's when you're going to have to use both. So with blueprint people, you got to be very careful. You want to be professional, organized, on time. Again, they care about the systems, the stability, the structure. Have your facts straight. You want to be put together. They'll see through that. You don't want to be too pushy or exaggerate. I mean, look at the type of people they are. Lawyers, managers, officers.
They look really fun.
Price is very important to them. They want to see systems. So when you talk to these people, you want to use words like stability, structure. For example, when they said to me, oh, we saw how that DJ really ran the show. Well, as your DJ, I will be your quarterback. I have my team and I have a lot of systems and organized processes. See the words I'm using? Those words resonate. A lot of organized processes to make sure that your timeline stays on track. That if something gets derailed, say the food is behind, that I understand it's my responsibility and duty to make sure that the guests are entertained and that things will not get derailed. Using those words, I just used a bunch of the words that are right up here, those values. That's going to build the credentials that they see in you. That's very important. That's how you speak to a blueprint-heavy type of person.
And you can also use these words to formulate questions. Like if that's just not how you speak, or you have you can make statements about what you're doing. You can also ask questions. Oh, I hear you. Are there any special traditions you do in your family? Do you have a particular idea of how you'd like your day to flow? Maybe some structure and any of those things?
Yeah. And say, hey, what kind of planning process would be preferred for you? Are you the type that wants to start planning a year before? Are you the type that wants a 6-month and a 3-month? That's speaking their language because that's how their mind works. The action, A for action. Eyes closed again, please. Thank you so much. Action. Values include freedom, spontaneity, excitement, fun, and image. They are typically entrepreneurial in spirit and don't have a problem taking risks. They value living life on their own terms and learn best through hands-on learning. They are optimistic and go-getters and excel at competition, sales, bringing teams together. Their values include freedom, flexibility, spontaneity, action, opportunity, excitement, attention, stimulation, competition, winning, fun, and image. You can open them. Thank you.
Can we all guess which one Chris is?
Well, an action person you can often tell by looking at them. What they're wearing, how enthusiastic they are, how energetic. Often people in the heavy action are actors, athletes, salespeople, public speakers, entrepreneurs. It's going to be very common to a room full of DJs and entertainers. This is probably going to be the main one for many, many people. These are the people that want the excitement. They want to see the videos. They're not going to care as much about the process and the timeline. No, they saw your TikTok video. They saw the bride being lifted up on the chair and the sweet CO2 cannons and the cold sparks going off, and that's what draws them in. They're not going to be the ones that are saying, tell me about your timeline and your process. And are you an event planner? Do you use Simple System? What are you? No. They're saying, wow, that looks freaking sweet. That's what I want. These action people, you can tell by when the first line or two that comes out of their mouth. You say, hey, how are you doing today? Oh, it's so great. It is so I'm so happy to finally see you because I loved what I saw on social media with your action, right? Versus the, hey, how you doing today? Doing great, thank you. Yeah, we're really happy to be here. That person, the second one I just did, that's not an action person. Action. So in that question when I ask, what's your vision for the day? Have you seen things at other weddings? They're the ones that they're not going to be afraid to talk. They're going to be super energetic, explain what I just said. When they said, oh yes, we saw that moment, we want that. And they're going to be more of like the alpha type. They're going to want the spotlight on them.
The center of attention folks too.
Center of attention. You have to be careful with them to not overshadow them or not make them feel like they aren't the coolest thing in the room. Even if they aren't, if you're trying to connect with them and sell, you want them to feel that way. Be cool, dress to impress, display excitement and enthusiasm, skip the small talk. They want to get straight to the bottom line and they want to know how their vision, because they need the excitement. They live their lives needing that excitement, the spontaneity, sizzle, or sell the sizzle, that lifestyle, the dream. They don't care too much about details. They're the ones that when they get a cupboard from IKEA, they're not looking at the instruction manual. They're just ripping it open and putting it together as is.
Is anyone looking at the instruction manual, though? Like, I don't.
Yeah.
Oh, Melissa is.
Yeah.
Okay, now I know who to call.
So with action people, be ready to have videos of the cool shit that you have. Be ready to talk with lots of energy and excitement. Does this make sense? Y'all with us so far? Great. 2 down. Let's go. Next one. Nurturing. We all have nurturing in ourselves. Yeah, close our eyes for a second. Values include compassion, authenticity, teamwork, community, and relationships. They are very social and enjoy making genuine connections with others. They strive to become the best they can be and find enjoyment in helping bring others to their full potential. They are very passionate and love contributing to their communities. Values, relationships, authenticity, personal growth, significance, teamwork, involvement, community, charity, ethics, harmony, morality, contribution. Welcome back. Often the ones that are busting their butts for others. Nonprofits, nurses, social workers, life coaches, volunteers. When you ask them that question of, hey, what's your vision? What's important for you? These are the ones who will often lead with something like, my grandma's in a wheelchair, and I want to make sure that she can see the entire ceremony. Can you make sure that when the bride walks down the aisle that everyone doesn't stand so she can see that? Or my father's passed away, and we want to do a tribute dance to him, but not necessarily bringing a lot of attention. How can we do that? Their first answer response wasn't about cold sparks or the action or something super, super exciting. It was about their care for someone else. They want to know that you care. They don't care what you know until they know you care. They don't care what you know until you know that you care. That's a powerful statement. So for these nurturers, you have to really connect with them, be authentic, connect with them on an emotional level. Very similar to Cody and I, how we connected. There was the emotion there. They will see right through if you're not being authentic and not being genuine, and if you're being a salesperson, you're being pushy, and you aren't validating their feelings, you are dead to them. Maybe not dead, but you're not going to connect well. You're not going to connect. As I said, you want to be authentic. Show them that you care more about them than the money. This is super important for the people versus paychecks. Big hugs. Tori, that's right on.
Can you guess which one I am? The other thing about nurturing folks is that they may need a little more empowerment to have the agency to do stuff for themselves. Because if you look at social workers, nurses, and volunteers and whatnot, how often are they doing stuff for other people and expending all of their emotional energy on those people, oftentimes in a thankless position? So when you're encountering, and it's really funny because oftentimes a nurturer will be with like a blueprint, and the stark contrast between them is, number one, probably what makes their relationship work. Because everybody needs, every person like that needs someone who's going to ask the waiter to get them the mayo for their sandwich because they don't want to be burdensome. Mm-hmm. So when you're interacting with nurturing folks, just remember that sometimes they may, if they're indecisive, it's just because they don't want to burden anybody. Mm-hmm. So try to empower folks like that to make these choices for themselves. And give hugs, obviously.
Fantastic. Let's do the questions at the end. Thank you. Thank you. Especially with the nurturers, they're so used to taking care of others that it's sometimes tough for them to take care of themselves or tell you what they want. You ever get those couples where you say, hey, what do you want? And they just don't know. They're like, I don't know. it's challenging for them. So like Tori said, you empower that, you work with them, you appeal to their emotions and say, hey, I totally understand. This is a tough thing. There's a lot of stress here. There's a lot of people, all your closest friends and family. It's okay. I'm here with you. Let's talk this out and then start with an easy question like, do you remember any songs from your prom? Or something to get the conversation going where they can talk. You know, when you were in the car today on the radio, what song was playing? Oh, Justin Bieber. Great. Did you like it? Sweet. Now you're in. You keep talking. Eyes closed, please. The K, knowledge. Values include science, logic, self-mastery, universal truths, and accuracy. These people strive to have power over their environment and themselves and are always striving to learn more. They're always attempting to put together the big picture, and when they put in work, it's almost always with the long-term goal in mind. They are problem solvers by nature and excel at using charts and models to explain hard-to-grasp ideas. Values, learning, intelligence, logic, self-mastery, technology, research and development, science, universal truths, expertise, competence, accuracy, the big picture. These people are often the ones that think they are the smartest people in the room.
These are your Dwights and your Sheldons.
Absolutely. Your engineers, your scientists, your
Hamiltons.
programmers, your analysts, your researchers, people that mostly base their thoughts and their feelings on quantifiable data. And if science or math does not prove it to them, they're not going to believe it. Again, kind of like an action person, if they think they're the smartest people in the room, you don't want to offend them unless you don't want the sale, you don't want to connect. Even if they aren't, that's the fine balance of understanding how do you talk with them and still make them feel like they are that person, because you're not going to change their mind usually. They're stuck in their ways. Melissa, you're nodding your head. Is this true?
Another thing going off of what Chris said is that just like the nurturers kind of feeling insecure about being a burden, the knowledge folks have an insecurity about being dumb or not being as smart. So it's important that not only do you help also empower them to feel however they need to feel, it's understanding that place that's coming from a place of insecurity, where they feel like they need to be the smartest part because that's where their validation comes from. So whenever you're interacting with someone like a Dwight, it's important to help them, feel secure enough to have the knowledge or learn, that you're cultivating a space of learning and education. Most people have never done this before, but they don't want you to know that.
Yeah. And she's talking about Dwight from The Office, not Dwight Howard or Dwight the Seven Dwarf.
I'm pretty
Is Dwight
sure.
the Seven Dwarf?
Yeah.
Maybe not. So, as she said, I liked how the point she made about most people have never done this before, right? The majority of weddings we do, it's a person that's the first time getting married. Occasionally you get a second one. So they are in an element they've never been in before. And to a knowledge person that is so based on the universal truths and all the data, that's a brand new thing to them. So there are already, like you said, are going to feel insecure. You got to be careful how you talk with them at that. Sales tips: be smart, know your information. Again, they want to know all of the truths, the logic, the data, things you can quantify. So if they ask you a question, so like for that question, hey, what's your vision for the day? And have you seen anything at weddings that you liked or didn't like? Oftentimes their first response would be, well, we've got our ceremony outside, we've got our cocktail hour in the lobby, and then our reception is in the ballroom. How are you going to get sound there? Are you going to be able to do that if we're in 3 locations? That's the first thing that came to their mind, because now it's the worry of, uh-oh, how is that going to be done? I need to see it in my mind. I need to understand, oh, you have your main setup in the ballroom, and then you have a auxiliary setup for the ceremony, and then you can either use the ceremony setup for cocktail, or you'll have a satellite speaker. Then like, oh, okay, that makes sense to me, because not knowing anything about this industry, I thought you were going to have to move 3 times around. That's how a knowledge person is going to think. So be smart. When they ask you these questions, these are the ones that might want to know, well, how long have you been DJing? And how many weddings have you done? And I saw this one review, and they said that you did so on and so on. And why did you do that? How did you do that? They want to know the why, the hows. Always be logical. You do not want to get overly emotional or excited. It's not an action person that feeds off the energy, that wants you to be all flashy and connected with them like that. No, they actually hate that. Stay grounded. Don't get emotionally excited. These are the ones that, to totally convince them, you have to provide the information, and they have to, on their own, come up with, yes, it's worth paying 3 times more for this DJ because of this, which just processed in their heads. They also the ones that it's going to take a little time, extra time to process. Make sense so far? Bank?
For those of you who, there's a book about this actually, and unfortunately I listen to a lot of audiobooks. There's not an audiobook, but the book that there is kind of operates as a textbook, so it's a nice frame of reference if you're looking to get it. There is a resource available.
And the great thing is, it doesn't matter if you're an introvert or an extrovert or somewhere in between, you can all do this. Here's a prime example. You have the dogs that love the water. And then you have the dogs that hate no water. This video actually has nothing to do with the content other than it's just hilarious, and I absolutely love it. And I actually I have 2 golden retrievers, and this is so true. They do this. Look, won't even look at the water, and this is such a true thing. They'll stand and look the other way if they're not happy. I love that video.
When I tell you that when we were prepping for this, that he watched it at least twice every time we went through this slide, I'm not even kidding.
It makes me smile. I love it. We can watch more of it. We'll have a private showing party, Todd. Oh no, whoa, we just missed the best slide.
Whoa.
Oh great. I was going to say, for those of you on your phones or tablets, I have good news, but not many of you are. Thank you. I was going to say, I have good news that I'm going to invite you to put those down for 1 second. If you take nothing away else from this seminar, this might be the biggest tidbit. In my seminars, I rarely, almost never, will guarantee something. But if I was a betting person, this might be the item, the tidbit that I would guarantee will work for every single person and be a big role in your life. Has anyone ever heard of this before? Comfort or solution? Comfort versus solution. Fantastic. You did the other day. Well, that's right, Josh. We had a chat about this. This is my wife, Megan. Comfort or solution? Now, most of the people in this room, if you're like myself, which you are, because you're DJs, you're entrepreneurs, you're alphas, you're successful people, you are go-getters, you're people that get shit done. The way we work is we're very solution-based. You present a problem, I'm going to give you a solution and fix it. I see a lot of head nods. That's how we work. Not everyone works this way. And this is going to be something that's applicable not just to business, but more importantly, probably your relationships, your spouse, your friendships, and then into business. Comfort or solution? This might save you lots of headaches, lots of fighting with your spouse if they aren't the same way. We have a couple right here, Mike and Melissa, and they are nodding their heads. They know. I think we've talked about this before, Mike. When someone comes, say your partner comes to you and says, oh, I've had a really bad day, I'm frustrated. You can tell they're upset, they're sad, there's some sort of emotion there, a negative emotion. One of our first ways to react to that as the go-getters, the solution fixers, is to give solution. My wife says, oh, I had a really bad day, this person just is so annoying, so tough to work with. And my solution is, well, don't work with that person. Or, hey, just avoid them. Or set your schedule so you're not on that list, right? And in reality, she doesn't want the solution. She wants the comfort. She wants to know that I can validate her feelings, that I'm going to support her, and I'm going to listen. Comfort or solution. This is very, very key. And just the way that men are wired, more men tend to have that solution type, and more women are more in touch with their empathy, with their emotions, and want that comfort. That's just the way our bodies are wired with our hormones and our science. Comfort or solution. You ask that, and next time you have a potential argument, or your partner or your friend comes to you and says something, before you start giving them the solution, which is just going to turn them off more and make them get even more mad at you, you say, do you want comfort or solution? If they say comfort, make sure you say that. You listen, you support, you validate. Very, very important. Don't listen for a minute and then say, okay, well, here's how I'm going to fix the problem for you. No. Comfort, and when it's time, they will be ready to then get the solution if they want it. Comfort or solution, and this can be used and applicable to business as well. Fun story. This past weekend, actually, we both had weddings in separate towns. Both Tori and myself. Tori's wedding, it was out of state, out of town, 6 hours from her actually. So we didn't have an assistant. 4.
It was 4.
We didn't have an assistant. Originally, the plan was through all of our planning meetings that they were going to be able to use the same reception setup for ceremony. It was all in the same room. Double checked. Okay. She gets there. The venue tells her, nope, that's not how it's going to go. You're actually going to need an extra setup because it's over here, and we got to flip the room and this, and that. already tired from driving a lot, not having an assistant, having to do everything herself, which is not normal. We usually do have an assistant, and then having this extra thing thrown on top of her, on top of all of us. We all know what it's like to get in that mindset and get prepared for game day and get ready. She calls me up, says, Chris, man, this venue's screwing me over right now. Not happy. They thought I was going to be able to use the same setup. Now I'm going to be rushed. I'm going to have to move this. I have to do all this. And I can tell that usually DJs don't call me unless it's something that's important, day of. I say, Tori, okay, do you want comfort or solution? She says, you know what? I think I know the solution. I think I just want to be validated to know that this sucks and I'm frustrated and it's okay. And I said, you got it, Tori. I say, you're a rock star. You've done this before. You know what you have to do. You totally got this. Yeah, it sucks. They threw you for a curveball. I'm sorry.
Thank you. No, honestly, being on the receiving end of that, and we've had situations in the past where we didn't have that dynamic, and he hadn't learned the comfort solution thing, and it just kind of, when you don't have somebody to kind of throw a wrench in your thinking and give you, it's like, oh, I actually already know this, right? Another way to phrase is also, how can I best support you right now? Do you want to be helped, heard, or hugged? Is another great way to ask the question. And remember too, like looking back on that right now, I'm like, that's so stupid. Why was I so upset about that? Why? And it's because I was so mentally prepared to do one thing, and then the 180 just like, set me in it triggered me. It set me in a whole entire different mindset where I had to do more work than I thought I had to do. The other thing too is that I feel kind of embarrassed about getting so upset about that now because it's such a small thing. So whenever you're interacting with someone, comfort or solution, remember that there's big T's and little T's, big traumas, little traumas. So just because something's a big T for you or something's a little T for you doesn't mean it's the same for somebody else. And what makes one frustration worse than another, there is no right and wrong, there just is what is. And Chris did a very good job of helping me feel validated in that way, because it really wasn't that big of a deal. But if he had said, oh, it's not that big of a deal, I would have been like, fuck off, Chris. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's true, because then I invalidate her feelings. I'm saying your feelings don't matter. Do your damn job and make money, right? That's what it comes off to be. So business owners, with your employees, with your multi-ops, be very aware of this. Ask them comfort or solution. Sometimes they just want to be validated. Your staff, your friends, your spouse, your partner, your side piece, all of them, okay? Ninja selling. I told you that this was one of the 3 conferences that changed my life, again, about 8 years ago, and it wasn't even for a DJ conference. It was actually a real estate conference. At the time, I had my real estate license, and I was doing things in life that I thought were going to be cool. So, took this class. This is where I heard the line of, the goal to optimal sales is not about selling. It's about connecting. It's about giving. It's not the whole ABC, always be closing. That's not how it works anymore. The biggest takeaways from this course, again, this is just the website. You can go check out more information if you want. But the biggest takeaways that I wanted to share today, how to have successful conversations to optimize connection through validating, showing genuine care, and not hijacking the conversation. This is going to be a lot about the conversational techniques, and I hope this goes off. If you already know this stuff, and that's a good way to validate yourself. If not, these are things you can practice the second you step out this door, and you're going to start to realize when you start talking to people like, oh God, this person's doing that. Oh, this is why I'm repelled. Or this person's doing this. That's why I now want to go to dinner with them, because I want to hear more about what they want to say. I want to hear them talk more. Combative responses. People don't even realize they're doing this. But when someone says something and you respond with a, well, yeah, but, it automatically takes it from that person. They said a thought, and if you say, well, you're saying that, no, I don't agree with you. Even if you're not fully disagreeing with the statement, that's how it's going to come off. That repels people. That's going to make them not want to talk to you and not connect with you. Be very aware, because some people don't even realize they're doing it, but I hear it all the time. And now that I put it in your head, you're going to start hearing it all the time this week as well. Be very careful.
It does not matter what your intention is. And when we talk a little bit about active listening later, it does not matter what your intention is. It's about your impact. And this is, it's for everything in life, right? Impact over intention. And the thing is, once you start hearing these responses, once you start understanding that you say them too, there's a very good chance that you're probably gonna feel a little bit embarrassed about it, a little bit ashamed. And if you're anything like me, which I feel like a lot of you are, where you have social anxiety, where you're like, oh my God, every interaction I'm thinking about ever is happening right now in my head, you're gonna hear yourself say those things and understand that it's okay. You're gonna make mistakes, you're gonna suck at it at first, and it's okay. It really is.
Reminder, everyone that just walked in the room, there will be a QR code at the end where you can get all the slides and all the links to this, so it'll be easy to go back and review. Yes, the validation. The reason people do this mostly, and it's subconscious, they might not even know, why do they do the, yeah, but is out of validation, insecurities. They want to be validated, they want to be heard. That's why they want to steal the thunder of that moment, of that conversation. If I said something like, hey, yeah, it's beautiful out, the sky is really blue, and you get that person that's like, well, it's really more like light blue, and you're like,
Periwinkle.
maybe one time it doesn't matter, but you build up, and the more you do that, the more you're going to repel that person because they're disagreeing with you just to kind of disagree with you, and it's because their insecurities, they need to be validated, they want to. So if you find that you're the person that's going to say, well, but just remember the impact versus intent. Last part, don't take without giving. It's very similar. In a conversation, it's the person that takes. Those are called conversational narcissists, the ones that always want to talk about themselves. I'm sure you can think of people right now in your lives, the friends that when you go out to have a drink with them or go out to dinner, they're the ones that always talk about themselves. So you're like, God damn it. They're just waiting for you to finish so they can talk about themselves. I've heard it nonstop this week here with people. And you might now too, now that you have this implanted in your head. In poker, we have a term called a nit. It's someone that always takes but rarely gives. In poker, it's like a tight person. They're only going in with good hands. They're not giving action. But it's really a life lesson too. Someone that always takes but rarely gives. And it's a perfect segue part of this conversational stuff. The person that always takes in the conversation, that always wants to make it about themselves. Don't let that be you.
It's also a lice egg. So do you want to be associated with a lice egg? I don't think so.
That's the definition of a nit. Yeah, annoying and so. We do not want to be a nit. To talk more about the conversational stuff, I want to show you some examples because you hear me say it, but it's even better and more powerful when you see it. Charisma on Command. This is a YouTube channel, and the great thing about this, it is free. And the link will be in that Google Drive folder that we will give all of you too. They have phenomenal videos. Tori actually turned me on to this one, showed me about it. We're going to play a few clips of examples of bad habits that repel you in conversation, and then ones that make you attractive and make people want to connect with you, which then are applicable again in your relationships, your friendships, especially in your sales and your business and with working with your clients.
The irony is that I discovered this YouTube channel during COVID, and it's like I literally couldn't talk to people.
Sorry.
Let Amy Schumer play.
Okay. So here's a 2-minute video of real life bad habits, and it'll walk you through. I only took small little clips that I thought were the most important, but I highly suggest you go watch these on your own. Again, free, fantastic, and just something to be aware of.
In today's video, we're going to show you 7 bad charisma habits that will consistently make people dislike you. By becoming aware of these mistakes, you can hopefully avoid making them. The other common mistake to avoid when someone shares something with you is conversational narcissism, relating everything back to yourself and consistently trying to put the focus onto you. Watch these next 2 clips for a great cringy example from The View. The conversation starts with Sunny expressing empathy for the people who are suffering because of Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
And that this is going to start a humanitarian crisis, a refugee crisis in Europe. We're talking about 5 million people that are going to be displaced. I mean, it's heartbreaking.
Now watch Joy Behar use what is called a shift response to shift the focus of the conversation to herself.
Well, I'm scared of what's going to happen in Western Europe, too.
Yeah.
You know, you plan a trip, you want to go there. I want to go to Italy for 4 years. I haven't been able to make it because of the pandemic, and now this.
This is an extreme version of a shift response, but they happen in conversation all the time. A common example would be if someone says something like, sorry, I haven't seen you recently. Things have been really rough at work. A supportive response would be something like, no problem, do you want to talk about it? You're showing the other person that you care and are interested in hearing more. A common shift response would be, oh my God, I know exactly what you mean. My work has been awful lately. And then launching into a story about your own job. A shift response isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes sharing your experiences makes people feel like they aren't alone. But if the only way you respond to things is with a story about yourself, it will eventually repel people. There's another common way people hog the conversational spotlight: question cutting, asking a question and then interrupting the answer. Talking over each other is commonplace in a group of excited friends, and it isn't always a bad thing. But if you interrupt right after you ask a question, it's almost always frustrating.
Let's say it goes how you think it's going to go. Khabib dominates. What's next? I'll tell you what I think.
Go ahead.
And one of the reasons I say this, because I heard you say this, so I put a lot of weight into it, is he's done.
Okay, so yes and no.
I think he retires. I don't think a Tony Ferguson. I don't think a Conor fight.
And so you go out to walk the dog?
Well, no.
It's cool.
I sort of.
Do they allow dogs at the hotel?
Aren't you supposed to let people talk on the show?
I'm going to say I heard that Taylor Swift will be performing. Can you confirm or deny?
I mean, we've had a really good time today.
Taylor!
So,
Taylor!
No, see where I'm going with this at least. Nobody ever listens to me.
The good news is it's extremely easy to avoid this mistake. If you ask someone a question, let them answer it. There's another mistake.
So those are examples of the conversational narcissism and interrupting, and I've heard a lot of that here at this show this week because you meet a lot of new people, and now you might start to notice this more. A common thing with your sales calls with your clients is, for example, you say, "Hey, Stephanie, where are you from?" Connecticut. She said Connecticut. Oh, Connecticut. Oh, let me tell you about, I went to summer camp in Connecticut one time, and then for travel baseball, we played a tournament there. It was gorgeous. It was amazing. And then in college, I went to Foxwoods. Foxwoods is in Connecticut, right? Oh, yeah, I had this huge win at the Blockchain TV. You should have seen that. You see how I asked a question and I just took it right back. I made it all about me. Whereas if you're connecting with people in sales, probably the proper way you want to go with this. Say, Stephanie, where are you from? Connecticut. Oh. Nice. Did you grow up there? How long have you been there for?
I've been there forever, and I wish I could get the hell out.
So if you want to get out, where do you think you would want to go?
Somewhere cooler, or hotter, actually. Somewhere better, cooler, hotter, all of it.
Cooler and culture.
So cooler and hotter. Like, do you want to be like on the beach, or what do you mean by hotter? Like really hot?
Yeah, I mean like hotter on the beach, but like a cooler vibe than Connecticut.
Oh, cool. Very neat.
Yes.
By the way, Stephanie, I went to summer camp in Connecticut one time, and it was amazing. Great week of my life. So do you see what I did there? I waited for my turn to talk. I validated her. I expanded. I genuinely showed care that I wanted to hear what she wanted to say there. You couldn't see her, but she smiled. She got really passionate. I didn't steal it from her and talk about how I went to summer camp there. I asked her about that. I made her feel special, feel heard, and then it was my turn to say, oh, by the way, I went to Connecticut, or summer camp in Connecticut too, and related with her in that regard. Make sense? You see that?
It's important to remember that just because when you're having a conversation with somebody and it's not you're shelving yourself, it's not that you're shadowing your light, it's that you're using your light to help make them brighter, which in turn makes the room brighter. Mm-hmm. So it's not that you're destroying yourself or putting yourself away, it's that you're just letting them be the brightest for the moment. Mm-hmm. And how good does that make you feel? Really
People
good,
will
right?
like you more, your friends, your salespeople. Connect with them this way, don't make it about yourself, don't steal the light, don't steal the thunder. Next video, we've got a few minutes left here. This is a 3-minute video of good habits now.
Today's video will go over 8 conversational habits that make people love being around you. Good relationship with this person, then accept those bids for connection. One way you can do this is by playing along with their jokes. For example, some people would get offended if you tease their outfit, but watch how Emily Blunt responds in this next clip.
You could put some football pads underneath there and just...
Actually, this is all me. I don't know if you...
You've bulked up for the Jungle Cruise.
Doubling down on someone's joke makes them feel heard and shows that you think they're funny. They'll feel good about themselves and they'll associate that positive feeling with you. Hugh Jackman is one of the most charming people in Hollywood. And the best part about his style of charisma is that once you get it down, it's effortless. He's a master at being contagiously positive. Simply put, people love being around Hugh Jackman because he makes them have fun and feel good about themselves. And you can be confident that people will love being around you if you can do the same. This starts with a mindset. Your first goal in social situations should be to have fun yourself. Hugh has the classic signs of happy confidence, a big smile and a big laugh. But what makes his positivity so contagious is how encouraging he is with other people when they start to join in. Watch how he engages with what this interviewer is saying.
My dad loved you, but he never got your name right.
What was it?
Stu Jackson. For
Much better name.
Yeah.
He asks her a question, laughs, and compliments the punchline. This is less than 30 seconds into the conversation. Imagine if you were her, how this would set a tone for a great interaction. If you smile big, laugh loudly, and encourage other people when they become playful, they will love being around you. Now that said, the goal is not to be fake. It's to get in touch with your natural playfulness and positivity. Now we can't discuss Hugh Jackman's charm without touching on perhaps his greatest strength of all. He has an incredible ability to make the people around him feel special. One of the best ways Hugh does this is with his "oh wow" compliment. A genuine compliment that feels special is one of the fastest ways to make someone like you. But compliments can go wrong in two ways: if it seems like you're just saying it to be polite, or like you're sucking up. In this next clip, notice how Hugh's compliment could have come across as just being nice, but then watch what he does to make it feel genuine.
There I was, sitting next to one of my heroes, and I'm not just saying that to be nice. I was at drama school watching the John Barton How to Play Shakespeare tapes with Patrick playing Shylock, and I thought one day I want to work with him, and there I was.
Hugh adds context to the compliment, which makes it obvious he's being real. Here's another great one. You can tell that initially this compliment doesn't mean much to Emily.
Listen, don't undersell what you did. Look, Julie Andrews is unbelievable in every single way. You are unbelievable in every single way. No, I mean it.
Now watch her reaction as he adds context to the compliment.
It's also, you go in as someone who knows musical theatre and movie musicals, you go in like, hey, that's a lot, you've taken on a lot, that's a big part, and from the opening scene, you just go, ah.
Oh, you're the best.
By adding context, in this case that his compliment comes from his own experience in musical theater, he gets Emily to laugh and feel the compliment comes from a real place of appreciation. Eye contact. This is something we've all heard before, and yet many of us don't actually use eye contact correctly, and Hugh is world class at it. What most people do is listen with eye contact, but then break it when they're speaking. But what you can learn from Hugh is how powerful it can be to lock in on someone after they've asked you a question. Having the full focus of someone you like feels amazing. And once you start doing the other habits in this video, you may find people even start to ask you questions just to try to earn your undivided attention.
Eye contact is big, especially in an atmosphere like this where when we're out on the floor, we're out at the bar, there's little pods of people. And I've had this conversation with some people in this room this week about talking to someone, having the eye contact with them, giving them attention, not being on your phone over here listening, oh, yeah, okay, gotcha, that makes sense. It's just rude. It's just not going to connect in the way that it should. We're going to skip over these parts, the two active listening things, due to time, but they are nicely laid out, so when you go back and look at the slides, you can certainly be able to...
Yeah, you'd be surprised by how powerful the question sort of connection of like, this is what I heard, is this what you meant? Even just that phrase alone after somebody says something to you.
The conversational practice, if we had more time, we're going to do a little bit more, kind of what I just did with Stephanie, where you would hear me genuinely explain like how I do a sales call and giving those genuine compliments that, like Hugh does, follow up with context. Example, wedding day, you see there's a female as the bride, and you see the bride, and rather than just say, oh, you look beautiful today, everyone's saying that. Add context. Oh, you look beautiful. I love how that little ribbon in your hair is sparkly. My tie is sparkly. I love sparkly. I love that. And oh, it just looks so natural. That probably wasn't the best example, but the point is, add the context to that. Connection. This is going to tie this all together. The reason why we are doing this, right? Connecting with people is to obviously be more successful in sales, but to connect with your people and get more than just a paycheck, more than just a couple for that date.
Yeah, if your number one goal, we're talking about sales, but it's kind of an iceberg sort of principle that, yeah, having more connections will get you more sales. But if your core belief when you go into any conversation with a potential couple is to get more sales, you have already failed at connecting. You need to go into every single conversation you have with everyone, but especially your couples, with the mindset of how can I connect with this person and how can I help to empower and make their light shine brighter on one of the most important days of their lives.
Shine brighter, yes. And that all comes back to what's the end result. We're gonna share a couple of our testimonials and words and text messages, and that's what you want. This is the end result. This means that you are doing something special. You're making people feel a certain way. Well, they're gonna go out of their way to praise you, to support you, to show love, both in private messages, but also publicly. And of course, that's your brand, right? What I said in the beginning. We talked about brand is what other people say about you. Well, here you go. It's not about your logo, your colors, it's what people say about you. First one, you're gonna notice a lot of these are not about music. It's not, oh, you made a sick transition without the sync button at 128. I heard that, that was great. Or, no, man, the way you scratched into that Crazy in Love Beyonce, woo! No, they're talking about things that are from here, the heart, things you did as a person, the way you made them feel.
We don't.
Feels like to understand the message. Guiding light, gentle consultant throughout the whole process, brought some organization to our day that was organization is probably a blueprint, that was honestly uncommon to find with other vendors. Her constant enthusiastic response and always had the best advice to give us throughout the process. Nothing there is about music. This is a text message that Tori got. Your energy, talents, and the love you brought today was electric and worth every single penny and more. We absolutely love you. It wasn't you packed the dance floor and it was awesome. We love you. We couldn't be more grateful for you. It was utterly perfect. And then that's connection. This is very tough to read. This was one to me. The context of this one is, okay, so we want to thank you for being, not only thank you for being an incredible DJ, but everyone on the dance floor, okay, they mentioned that, but the ease I felt all along knowing that you were part of our dream team that would keep things running smooth no matter what. As the bridesmaid stated, you truly had a calming presence and were always so positive every step of the way, even with all the other chaos happening in our house during Zoom meetings and through the indecisiveness. Thank you for rolling with the punches with us, adding humor and unexpected occurred like losing our pastor. We appreciate you and your team. Lastly, I'd like to add that we were absolutely blown away by the incredible thoughtfulness and time that went into the 360 photo booth. So the story for that, this is care. That's nothing new about DJing. This is about connecting early on and feeling, knowing what would make sense to them. This is a Facebook post she posted a few days after. The night I met her fiance, she met her fiance Devin. They were taking snakebite shots, which is with Yukon Lime and Jack. No idea. They were out, they fish a lot, and they kept hearing the nitty-gritty band Fishing in the Dark would always play. It became their song. One night they were fishing, and that's where they heard me because you could hear it from the water, the venue I was DJing at, and they were like, all right, got to get his information. A few years later, they hired me. Then she ends with it. I share this because Washburn Entertainment made this incredible personalized custom frame for our 360 photo booth. The logo is the nitty-gritty band, the album cover with their names on it. Tori made this, and with their names, and then a bottle of Yukon Jack here on the bottom. And I gave all the credit to Tori. She came up with this one, but that connection, that, again, is about connecting, about the love, the heart, the details, what mattered to them, how important those little details were. It wasn't because we perfectly went from 70 BPM up to EDM at 130, right? No. You touch people who you connect with them. Sorry, Josh, I had a great story. If you want to hear more about that, you can find us in the hallway. So today's goals, we talked about how to connect with people in a more authentic way. Hopefully your takeaway is that you understand the value now of better human connection. You're inspired to take action. And like I said, it's going to start the second you walk out in the hallway and start talking to people. You're going to hear the conversational narcissist. You're going to hear the interrupters, the one that just want to make it about themselves. Hopefully you implement these. You find success. You realize this can be applied not just to business, but those personal relationships. Comfort or solution. Go try that next time with your partner.
Conversations are meant to be collaborative, and if there's only one person talking in the conversation, it's a lecture. So just remember that, whether you're on either end of the conversation.
That's why we talk together, because there's two people. Now there's not a lecture. And finally, never stop learning. Be humble and grateful.
Always choose kind.
It's all about love for our fellow Marbeckers here. And
as Big Daddy says, don't be a dick!
Don't be a dick. Less of this and more of this. And of course, hopefully see you all tonight. Big Daddy's show. For Tori, for myself, thank you. Yes, grab the QR code.
I gotta get one with you guys.
Kayla, can you take pictures?
Awesome job. Sorry I was late. Oh, jeez.